Hello ladies and gentlemen, hi guys and girls. Today I will show you how to build a fused 3x3 hexagonal dipyramid. I removed some stickers here to mark where I have to sand the pieces down later. But we're basically going to make a hexagonal dipyramid on this side and on this side of the puzzle. And then sand down everything a little bit deeper than usual, so we don't have any spaces here left. And obviously for this part, for this fused cube here, we are missing this corner part because I need to round off these center pieces here so we can turn the puzzle. Alright, let's do this. So first of all, I had to defuse the two 3x3s. I just used a flathead screwdriver to pry them apart. Then I separated all of the pieces that had caps and glued them in place, just so that it doesn't get messy when sanding down. Here you can see the black part is what I want to remove first, but as it turns out, I had to remove way more material. I started by tightening the cube so that the pieces wouldn't shift while sanding. And the whole sanding process, everything together on the disc sander, was about 3 to 4 hours, so pretty long actually. Here we can see one of the cuts, and now with cleaned up pieces. I had to do this 3 times on each cube. Here you can see one cube finished. And there is the other one. Alright, so both cubes looked exactly the same now. So it was time to fuse the cores together. So I disassembled everything. Here you can see the 3 center pieces where we sanded down the puzzle. And we obviously want to fuse the pieces together that don't have center caps and that are not sanded down right now. So to make the glue stick better, I sanded down all of the center pieces that needed to be glued together. And I also set the tension for the puzzle because you wouldn't be able to reach the screws later. I applied glue to one of the cores and then just stuck the other one in place. So I removed the centers on both sides that I just had the fused core here, so I could round off the pieces. I used my Dremel, my multi-tool sander, and just tried to get a round surface here. This is one side of the core with 3 rounded centers here, and then I could assemble the cube once again. It looked like this. This is the de-stickered version now. I think it looks way better. And I also removed the center caps because we wouldn't need them anymore. Now it was time to fill the pieces up. And for these corners I scratched the inside so that the filler would stick better. But as it turned out, we wouldn't need these corner pieces, basically. We would sand them down so far that all of the filling material would be gone. So I started filling the pieces, made sure that there are no air bubbles in it, because if I sand it down more, I don't want to have any holes in it, obviously. And here you can see the corner, which was totally useless. I only would have to fill up the small little hole on the side. And this piece was a little bit tricky. I filled it up a bit, then pressed the epoxy sculpt down with my X-Acto knife and pushed in even more material until it was squeezing out on the other side. That's what worked the best for me in this case. Then it was time to sand the puzzle once more. So I set the angle on my disc sander the same that it was before. And now I would remove a little bit of the corner up here and the filled material down there. And sanding big sides on a disc sander is a bit difficult. I think a belt sander would be easier for that. Here you can see the puzzle now with the corners truncated a little bit, and now it was time to go for the new layers we would create, the new sides. So I left the angle on the disc sander as it was and just started sanding down the puzzle like that. And here you can see one sanded side and the ones we sanded before, left and right here. So it was, we removed a lot of material here. The puzzle was 200 grams after filling, and after all of the sanding it had only 110 grams. So we removed half of the puzzle by just sanding it down. Sadly, I noticed a little bit of a problem. These here are the corner pieces, with a small hole in them. And that's what happens if you turn them. Watch closely when this corner gets to this spot. Oops! See what happened there? The corner just fell into the mechanism. Okay, but I would want to deal with that later, so I just started sanding all of the sides with my metal ruler and a bit of 220 grit sandpaper, just to smoothen everything out. I then disassembled the cube once again and took the corner pieces that were still hollow, scratched out the residue that resulted from disc sanding it, and then started filling all of the pieces up. This was pretty straightforward. It was not that difficult to do, but obviously we would have to sand down the cube once again. So I made sure that I get the really sharp edges, and the metal ruler works best for me. I haven't found any other way to get those sharp edges on the cube. So now it was time to fill up the core piece. The open spots here are from the core, and some of the corner pieces had some holes as well. But it was time now to deal with the mechanism parts. So you can see here I would have to remove the mechanism part from the edge. So I just used my oscillating saw and removed the mechanism part first, and then I still had to cut out a little bit more, just so that the piece could fit inside the core. And this was also a bit tricky because you couldn't really grab the piece that well. And here you can see how these mechanism parts would be inserted into the puzzle. And it turned out that they were too big and the puzzle wouldn't look really good if I assembled it this way. But I quickly found the solution, just sand down the mechanism parts even more, and that's it basically. The left one is the newly sanded piece. I inserted them into the core, but then noticed I had to sand down the outer surfaces first and make a nice bond between the pieces. So I just took tons of super glue and a little bit of sanding dust, and I salt bayed it over it, which works the best for me. I super glued my fingers together, but you can use a nail file for that or just sandpaper. And then I had to fix some of the outer pieces. As you can see, the corner here has the little hole inside and two small holes from filling. I just scratched them off with my X-Acto knife, made the holes a little bit bigger, so I could later fill it up with epoxy sculpt once again. I started by filling all of the holes in the core, which looked really great, I think, after sanding. I started with 80 grit sandpaper and then went to 220 to get a nice smooth finish on the pieces. And I also switched out the screws with 3 by 16mm screws that just would sink in a little bit more into the centerpiece, because this is the most radical truncation I've ever done on any puzzle. So after gluing in the mechanism pieces, everything seemed to work out great and the corners didn't fall into the mechanism again. So here's the finished shape of the puzzle. Everything is sanded as I wanted it to be, and also I always switch out all of the pieces to make sure the puzzle looks the same even if it's scrambled. So if two pieces that look the same would switch place, everything would fit perfectly. Then it was time to round off the pieces with 220 grit sandpaper. I started on the core and I was really satisfied with the result. I think it looked super awesome. And then I showed one edge here, just for demonstration. Rounding off the pieces is one of the most important parts for a great finish on a puzzle, and I spent a lot of time doing that. So rounding off all the pieces was probably 4 hours of work. Then after assembling, I just did that to make a photo for Instagram. Then I cleaned all of the pieces with a microfiber towel, made them dust-free so that I could spray paint them. And for spray painting, it's very important that you shake the can well. The better you shake it, the cleaner your result will be. As stupid as it sounds. I cut out some small round stickers and put them over the screws on the center pieces, and then started filling the center pieces up with epoxy sculpt, which turned out to be quite difficult because I had to maybe extend 0.5 millimeter, so almost no material was used here. And then I could sand down the freshly spray painted puzzle again, and after everything was cleaned up with a microfiber towel again, spray paint it in its assembled state, which I usually don't like to do. This is the finished puzzle now, without stickers. And you can see a small sticker template here that I made. These are the colors that I choose. And I wanted to go with light and dark colors on faces that would be next to each other. Alright, there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. The 3x3x3 fused hexagonal bipyramid. The stickers are not perfect, especially the smaller ones and the one in the middle here. I don't like these, so I will probably cut them again. But for this video, I think that's it. Let's see some turns on this. And the crazy thing is, these corners almost look like they should fall in, but you can actually press them. It's not a problem at all. So let's, just do some turns here. And after only 4 turns, this is what the puzzle looks like. And that's it for me, because I can't really disassemble this anymore, because there is no access to the screws. So I will leave the scrambling up to the person that will receive this. Let's say it like that. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed.